In the last video, we connected our app to Firebase for both Android and iOS. Now in this video, we are going to create this particular screen to upload the blocks. So let me close this up, get rid of all these boilerplate code, also getting rid of these. Okay. Now we will be going to the library or lib folder, whatever we can call it. We are going to create a new folder. We are going to call it views. We will add a new file that is going to be home.dart, and we are going to add another file that's going to be called create blog.dart. Okay, so if we go to the home.dart, we are going to import material.dart, and we are going to create a stateful widget which is going to be called homepage. Okay, next we are going to go in the create blog and we are going to import material.dart. Then we are going to create a stateful widget which is called create blog. Okay, once that is done, we are going to go to the main.dart and we are going to make it home and get rid of this title. So I think it's home page which we mentioned, so we are going to call it that. And if I save it and let me open it up, so simple blog app, this is Flutter blog. So this one is the app which we have right now. So if you go to the home page, you can see we are returning a container, and that's why the whole screen is blank. Okay, so the first thing which we are going to do, we are going to convert this to scaffold, and in that we are going, now you can see we have a white screen. So the first thing which we should do is, let me work on the app bar. So as you can see, we have kind of a bit custom app bar. You can see it's not actually a logo, it's basically two text wrapped in a row. So let's create this. We are going to say app bar, and inside of that we are going to say title. Now the good part about title is it does not only take text, it can take row as well. So that's exactly what we are going to do. We are going to say text. I'm going to say Flutter, give it a little bit of style. Okay, that's too much. Style. Then we can say text style. Oh my god, by the way, I'm little kind of not that experienced using VS Code. I've been using Android Studio for like more than 2 years, and he dumped me, so anyways, we'll talk about that. So text style, now in this we are going to say about the size of the font. So the font size is going to be 22, and then we are going to have another text which is going to be the blog, and we are going to say style, text style, and inside that we are going to say font size 22, and in this we are also going to have something called colors. That's called colors. Okay, and blue. Then we are going to save that, and hopefully it should be visible. Okay, one thing, I have used a dark theme in that. To do so, you just have to get rid of all this and say .dark. Yeah, it's that simple. And then you have to go to home, and now you can see. So in our app, we don't have this background. Okay, so for that you can simply say background color and say colors dot transparent. Okay, now this is the elevation, what the color you are able to see, or the difference between this color and this. So we are going to say the elevation to 0.0, and now you can see it's fine. Right now the reason why this is at this side is not because of app bar but because of row. So we are going to say main axis alignment dot center. What it does is main axis alignment of row, which is horizontal, it aligns the children's of it in the center. So if I save this, you can see. Okay, so the app bar is done. Now we need a floating action button. Okay, body, let me just have a container over here for now, and a floating action button over here. Similarly, for floating action button, this is what I did. Okay, I created a row, and in that we can just create a floating action button which will have a child of icon, and that icon is going to be icons dot add a photo. Now you can see it's quite at the corner, so let me have it add only. I think that's what we used in the last one. Okay, so in this we are also going to use an onPress property, of course, but before that let me make sure it's in the center. So how we are going to do that? Similarly, how we do that for app bar. Now you can see it's in the center. So now we also want some kind of padding from bottom. So I'm going to wrap it in the container and give it a padding property. I'm going to say edge insets dot symmetric, and I'm going to give it a vertical, okay, vertical padding of around 15, or let's say 16. It's fine, but let's go with 20. Okay, so now it's fine. Now what we want, when we click on this, we should be redirected, or we should navigate to another screen, which is this, which is called create blog. Okay, so how we are going to do that? We are going to do that by using something called navigator. Okay, so how we do that? We are going to say navigator dot. Now there are different properties you can use. You can use push named and removed, push replacement name. So there are different properties. We are going to go and use push. That's directly basically stacking up another screen on this screen. So the user will have an option to click on a back button in Android and the back at the top to get back to this screen, which means this screen is already open, and also open as well means basically that screen comes at the top of the screen. Okay, so now we are going to use material page root. This material page root takes a builder, and that's going to take context, and we are going to say we want to go to create blog, and actually that's all what we have to do. So if I will click on this now, you can see we are redirected, but there is no visibility of how to I can understand which screen I'm in. So I'm going to just go to this scaffold and add this app bar. Okay, now it's showing an error because of course like we have to say this and then save that. Okay, now we also have a button over here to upload. So that's something which is actions. So we can add an action to our app bar, and that action is actually an icon with icons dot upload file upload. Okay, this one. Okay, now I am going to add a container, and so this is container. Why I am adding a container is because if I save it right now, okay, you can see the it's quite like very less space from there, right? So we are going to give it some padding. We are going to say edge insets dot symmetric, and we are going to give it a horizontal padding of around 16, and let's save that. Okay, looks fine to me. Now what we want to do is we have this screen app bar done only, and let's now create the other stuff, which is going to be the body. So in the body we are going to have a container, and that container is going to have a child which is going to be column is going to have children's, and the first thing is I'm just going to have a small sized box, which I did have in that, so just want to make sure we have that. Okay, now in that app you can see that if I open up that app, yeah, it was simple block. So you can see that we have this image, or basically a container with an icon over there. So let me quickly create that. So this is our body, we are inside a column. So how we are going to create this? We are going to just call container, we are going to give it height, this is exactly 150. Excuse me. We are going to provide it a width. So for width, as you can see, it's taking kind of whole width and giving some kind of padding at the corners. So how we do that? We do that by using media query dot off context dot size dot width. By this we can get the size of the display. Now once we have that, next what we are going to do, we are going to have a child. Of course, without child, container is nothing. So then what the child we are going to have, we are going to have an icon, icons dot add a photo. Okay, now that is done, but now the main thing is we need this white color, we need these borders as well, right? So for that to done, we can actually directly provide the color, but we are not going to do so because we are using a decoration. And if you use decoration, don't use colors outside of decoration, it will be an error. So now we can say colors dot which color it is, white. Okay, and now we, as I said, like it has border radius, so we are going to add border. Border dot circular will be there, border radius dot circular, and let's give it 6. Okay, so now let me open up the app, and if I save this, this is how it looks like. Okay, so the add photo icon for some reason is not visible. Let's take a look around why it's not. I think the color of that is the reason, so I'm just going to say the colors dot, let's call it black 45. Okay, so now it's visible. Of course we need a padding, it's not going to look good without it, so I'm just going to give it horizontal 16, horizontal. Okay, can you do that? Oh, sorry, it's going to be margin, guys. The difference is basically padding is inside and margin is outside. Okay, so now we have this container. Now next is we are going to have a sized box just to give it a bit of a height of around, let's say 8. Then we are going to use a text field. Now you can use forms for those, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go over here just above the override, and below this state I'm going to define some strings. The first string is going to be author name, the second one to be title, the third one to be description. Now we have all these, and whenever the text changes on these text field, I'm going to save them to these. How I'm going to do that? I'm just going to go to text field, and the first thing which I use is decoration. What is decoration? Decoration is used simply for what we are using. We are using it to provide a hint text. Okay, through decoration we can provide a hint text. So the first thing which we are going to have is going to be author name. Okay, if I save this, now you can see we have it. Now one thing also which we want to make sure, we want to provide these kind of padding to this as well. So this is not the best way because you can do that like wrapping it all in the same, but we can do this simply like by creating a container, getting a child, creating one more column, children, and putting the text inside of it, copying the margin and providing the same margin to this. Okay, now what we want is similar kind of text fields, but before that we want to make sure that on changed, whenever we are updating the text, what we want, it will return a value. Okay, what we will do, we will simply type author name is equals to value. So basically we are saving that value, whichever we are getting from this, to the string author name. If I save this, it's done. I'm going to copy this and one and twice. And now in the second one, we are going to name it title. If you use something like form, you have different options of validator as well. We're not going to do a lot of that. That's why I'm not using it. But if you want, you can just to no. Okay, so we have all these. Now if I save it, we have it, right? Okay, so this was all the UI which we have done till now. Now the main stuff is uploading this the data to Firebase.